Hey guys, hope you are all settling back into the crazy work week after the week we had last week. If you had a chance, I hope you had a chance to look at week 4. As you can see, our first speech is due this week, the intro speech. The reason why we do this speech is to get you guys comfortable with the process. So make sure you guys are doing the paperwork. Make sure you guys are practicing before you give your speech, before you record your speech. I guess the cool thing about being an online class is that you guys get to perfect your speech as much as you can. You can record your speech as many times as you want and turning your best take, I guess you could say. So that's kind of a cool thing about being in the online class. So make sure you look at all the instructions, all the tasks on there, okay, so that you get everything done. Remember, because last week we had the hurricane and possible issues, I gave you guys another week to finish week 3 stuff. So make sure week 3 and week 4 stuff is completely done by Sunday, the 15th, okay? So that we have enough time to make sure we're good and I can grade and get us all right back on track. Because we start with the next speech next week, okay? So a couple of things I want to talk about for speech 1, just so we can make sure we're all on the same page. If you guys go in your book, I have the book right in front of me so that I can see what I'm talking about here. Your intro speech stuff starts on page 107, which you guys hopefully have looked at already. Everything that's, the nitty gritty, it's in here. Okay, it's 3 to 5 minutes, 75 points for the oral presentation, and then 25 points for the written work. So 100 points total. There is examples in the back of your text. If you guys go to page 213, 215, and 217, those are all the example papers that you will actually have to turn in. The examples of the papers that you turn in, that you fill out yourself, so you kind of have an idea of what it should look like. Those example papers go with the example video that you guys see. Her name's Brandy. Those are her papers to give you guys an idea of how it works, okay? So on page, there's no page number, but it should be 109. That's step 1 of the 8-step process. So the 8-step process is one of those things where you go through the process of putting a presentation together. So step 1 is audience and occasion analysis. So because this is an online class, we have kind of a unique situation where you will have audience members at your house, but you also have us, your class, as your audience. So keep that in mind when you guys are filling this out. There's one thing I want to point out that everyone gets kind of tripped up on is B. B on page 109 is write a demographic description of your intended audience, including variables such as ... It asks things such as age range, ethnicity, marital status, sexual orientation, okay? So for this class, there's some of these things that you just won't know, okay? I mean, you just won't know them. And those aren't questions that you just go up to a stranger and ask, right? So these kind of things, the demographic description, I want you just to do your best guess, okay? So a way you could do that is you could look up Cumberland County and see what the stats are for Cumberland County as a whole, since that's where Methodist is located. You could also just look at the example page of Brandy's and kind of use that as a guide. For that particular section, I'm not looking for specifics because I am also not asking strangers personal questions, okay? The reason why we do this is because we want you guys to get into the habit of thinking about your audience, because in some situations it would matter, okay? For this class, it's a little bit weird because you have a captured audience. You have, certain things that you have to complete. So it's going to be a little bit of a different situation, but we still want you to practice the right things to do for a presentation outside of this class. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So fill out that page, and then steps 2 through 8 are the rest of the 8-step process. Now step 6 is research, which for this speech you don't have any research, so don't worry about that, but everything else make sure you fill out. And again, please use the examples as a guide. If you use the examples, you'll do great, okay? And there's also the evaluation sheets that you will use for your evaluations of your peers, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I hope you had a chance to look at that. Your speeches are due on Thursday this week, so I'm looking forward to grading them and seeing what you guys come up with and learning more about you. So as always, email me if you have questions.